guys, what's up? I am Ashani, otherwise known as Ashani the Alchemist. If you're new here, welcome to the channel. I am an astrologer and tarot reader. I've been doing it for over 10 years now. It's almost going on 12 years this year, where I have been studying astrology and doing energy work and intuitive readings with clients. Today, I am going to be doing a review of a very special deck. It's the True Heart Intuitive Tarot by Rachel True. It's been on my wish list for some time, and I'm going to be diving into it with you guys today. If you follow me on X, you may have saw that I recently made a post about this deck and it went viral, and then I ended up having some interactions with Rachel True herself. So I went out and immediately got the deck because I was very curious about working with it, and it's been a minute since I treated myself to a new deck. So let's start this unboxing. I'm very excited to see what we're working with here. I can't wait to see all the cards in the guidebook. I'm going to go through the major arcana, the minor arcana, and just kind of give you guys an overview of how I'm feeling, what I'm seeing. So yes, let's get into it. If you guys are here from the short video that I posted where I kind of explained why I decided to buy this deck and said, oh, I'm excited to, oh my goodness, I might need scissors. Ugh. Anywho, I got through. But I was saying I love a deck that comes with its own box, where the guidebook and the cards can sit inside. I feel like it's probably so expensive to produce, but I feel like it's like such a vibe, you know? Anywho, I'm gonna open it now. This is what it kind of looks like as you open it. Ta-da! Very beautiful. I didn't realize the book was gonna be this big. So the book kind of sits into the whole box, and then we have the cards here. Okay, let me put this to the side, and then let's see. So it looks like some major arcana and then some minor arcana. So I'm going to open the major arcana first. The full card is the cover, guys. So this image of this girl, I love it. Let's get into it. So more plastic. Me and plastic are not friends. Don't judge me for using my mouth. That's my business. Okay. So, some major arcana. We have the Fool. It looks like maybe some mushrooms or something growing out of the ground. I'm trying to think if that's typically seen in the traditional Fool tarot. I also love the colors in this card and the fact that her dress is kind of bleeding into the palette of the sky. I think that's very cool. The Fool card, to me, it does always make me think of Ascension to a degree, just because obviously this person has reached some kind of peak or pinnacle in their life. And I feel like that next step is kind of into the unknown after reaching this new viewpoint or perspective. All right, I'm just going to kind of go through them because I'm not going to like talk about every card, but this is the Magician. I love the astrological imagery in that. The High Priestess. Ooh, the Empress is gorgeous. The Empress. She has the pomegranates all over her dress. More mushrooms. And mushrooms to me always have represented like new growth amongst decay. So like as something is ending, some like new life is being born. Emperor. That's a cool card. With the rams on the shoulders. The Hierophant. Ooh, the Lover's card's really cool, guys. I love this. The Lover's card. That mercurial energy with the winged men flying in the sky. I love that. There's also an apple at the foot. I don't know if you guys have always tuned into like the Adam and Eve imagery in this card, but the apple being at Eve's foot is very cool. The snakes in the tree, etc. The chariot. Come on, Melanin. I know all the cards aren't melanated people, but I love the ones that are. She's a baddie. We love her. The Strength card with the poppies. The Hermit. These cards are awesome. The Wheel of Fortune. And I also like how these cards, they kind of align with the colors of the chakra system, more astrology imagery. All the zodiac signs and constellations are there. We have the Justice card, the sun and moon sitting in the baskets, the sword that she's standing on, representing judgment and perception. The Hangman, that's a cool card. The animals in the tree, there's like these animal heads in the tree. I don't know if you guys can see that, but that's really interesting. These little animals, faces in the tree. Okay, this is gorgeous. The Death card. And we have Temperance. I love the Temperance card. The Devil. Tower. The Star. Again, gorgeous person. The Moon. The little pups. I love the Sacred Geometry. Then we have the Sun. Judgment. This card is also very cool. I'm very excited to channel messages with these cards, I will say. The World. That was the last card there. And the minor arcana are gorgeous. Like we have the Ace of Cups and the Two of Cups. We've got the Three of Cups. Very cool cards. But if I were to go through every single one, we would obviously be here all day. So I am going to get on with the messages and kind of see what we channel, and hopefully we can kind of get some of these cards in there so we could explore them together. Oh, the Nine of Cups is so fun. She's so like psychedelic and cool. We love her. Free-spirited. Okay, so I'm going to shuffle these cards. I'm going to open up this other portion of the deck, and then we're going to get started. This looks like it is the rest of the coin cards, or in this deck, they're called discs. If you're familiar with tarot, you'll know that like discs, pentacles, and coins are all the same. But if not, then just so you know, that's the discs would be the pentacles card. Let's see what else is in here. We have the discs, the cups, the wands. Very cool cards. Four of Wands. Wow, Five of Wands. These cards are crazy. And then we have, let's see, the Swords. Yep. The Ace cards are so cool. I'm obsessed with like the border that they give them. It looks so dramatic and cool. So let's get into it. I'm excited. Oh my goodness. So one thing I will say is I remember looking at these cards online, right? And seeing this card for the Five of Swords. This card is insane. What? Literally insane. Showing the tension, showing the conflict in that imagery alone, I'm obsessed. Wow. Same with the Six of Swords. As an air sign myself, I love the sword cards as well. I love the imagery of the swords cards. Like the Eight of Swords is another very powerful card. That's pretty crazy. Wow. All right. So let's get into it, guys. I'm gonna shuffle the cards and then I'm just gonna do a quick cleanse, smoke cleanse. But I just want to kind of calibrate the energy. Ooh, cards coming out. We're not doing the reading just yet. But yes, I want to calibrate the energy overall to the collective and to what needs to be channeled today. Let me get a lighter so I can cleanse these cards real quick. I don't have any like Palo Santo or sage right now, so I'm going to be using a super hit incense just to kind of cleanse my space, cleanse the cards, ground the energy around us. This also smells amazing. Cleansing the book. When you think about it, it's pretty crazy how many people and energies our things pass through on a day-to-day basis, sometimes even without our knowledge. Let's do it, guys. Okay. True Heart Intuitive Tarot. I'm just kind of going through the first few pages. See, that's gorgeous. We have the Empress there. This book was so well done. Dedicated to Pamela Coleman Smith and all who came before. I love that. The two quotes we have here, it says, by Carl Jung, we can predict the future when we know how the present moment evolved from the past. Definitely. And then Nikola Tesla, if you want to understand the secrets of the universe, think of it in terms of energy, frequency, and vibration. Let's see here. I do want to sit and read this introductory, but I do think that's something that I feel like I need to read on my own time and have you guys explore yourself. Like, if you get this deck, I think that that's something when you open up the deck that you should experience for yourself. So I'm not going to read that. But I will read the back of the book, just the description here of the book. It says, Rachel True, beloved for her role in the cult classic movie The Craft, shares her tarot knowledge gained through a lifetime of practice in her first guidebook and deck. Accessible and conversational, True Heart helps readers use the cards as True does, with an intuitive approach. She shares personal stories from her experiences in Hollywood to illuminate how to personalize the meaning of each card, and how, much in the way Carl Jung used them in his practice, tarot offers wisdom based on the reader's present energy. Rachel True is an American actress who has appeared in many hit and cult films, including The Craft, Half-Baked, and Nowhere. She was nominated for an NAACP award for her work on the TV show Half and Half. A native New Yorker and an avid bibliophile, Rachel is a lifelong tarot practitioner. She lives in Los Angeles. I love that. So I'm very, 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 very excited. One thing I also will say, just from flipping through and kind of glazing over that introductory piece, and then even the mention that she kind of shares her own experiences in the description of the tarot cards, I love that. One thing I will say about Rachel True is I feel that although, yes, she was recognized and was nominated for an NAACP award, she never really received her flowers in the way that I feel she deserved. What she represented for little Black girls and what she continues to represent, you know, and advocate for. I think it's very important, and I feel that in a way that is also what kind of didn't allow her to get maybe certain opportunities or, you know, get certain recognition. But I really respect her for kind of staying true to herself. And I know that in whether it's the film and media industry or just in a lot of different creative industries, that that isn't always appreciated. Authenticity and spiritual awareness and the intuitive approach and all of those things. Ironically, you know, sometimes certain agencies and labels and, you know, publishing companies can kind of try to take that creative control back and water people down and dim their light. So I appreciate artists who don't allow that to happen to them. You know, I am inspired by those people. So thank you, Miss Rachel, for being one of those inspirations. So with this guidebook, it's crazy big. There are even like spreads, past, present, future spread, the Celtic cross spread. If you 11 card mother piece spread, that's one I'm not familiar with, but I was gonna say if you do work with tarot, you might be pretty familiar with these two, especially that Celtic cross spread. I remember first starting out tarot and like that being my go-to, which it's a very powerful spread. But yeah, 1 card daily pull guidance, 1 card 1 question spread. So yes, there's a whole section for tarot spreads. Of course, I kind of just flipped to whatever page I was kind of like called to, but wow, this book is definitely more in depth than I realized. It breaks down all of the different cards, putting the suit energy and numerical value together, so that it'll teach you how to work with the suit energy, so like the different elements of the suits as well as the numbers. So let's say we're working with the 4 of Cups. Cups are emotions, and the number 4 represents stability, building a strong foundation and safety. Depending where the reader is at mentally, this could be a comforting card, as in you're feeling secure and grounded emotionally. Alternatively, if you're feeling off balance, this card may make you feel like protecting yourself and hiding out. Okay. Yeah, breaks down all of the different elements here. The suits, tarot by numbers. Digging into your deck is what that chapter is called. There's a section that says connecting to your tarot cards using the actor's way, which is awesome. Imagine you are the character on the card. Play it out like a film in your head. How does it feel? What emotion does the card imagery evoke for you on a visceral gut level? Now with a more analytical mind, glance again at the card. What do you see specifically? What are the details? How do you feel about your own energetic shift up or down in reaction to the card? Does this card make you happy, or does it remind you of a side of yourself you don't particularly like? That's a cool exercise. Setting up an altar. This really goes deep in. So what I will say is, if you're a beginner or even intermediate and you feel like you still have a lot to learn when it comes to tarot, the expression of the energy in the tarot cards, this could be a really great deck for you to purchase. One thing I will also say about the cards, when I was looking through them, what I noticed is that once you study tarot for a while, you learn that there's a lot of symbolism in the cards, and the traditional cards do a good job of showing that symbolism, but this deck has kind of made it a little bit more like visually, I don't even want to say inclusive. Yes, to some degree, but it also helps, I think, new age spiritualists to kind of understand. It does require studying, and that's what I love. It's definitely not one that is just super simplified. I do think that certain cards incline you to say, what's that? Why is that there? You know, and look into it. So that's why I think it's a good deck for beginners who are very serious about learning the traditional symbolism in the tarot cards and what it truly means. So those cards that had the zodiac wheel, those cards already traditionally in tarot are associated with the zodiac signs. And so understanding why or how and what that represents when you pull that card in any spread, that's going to help you. So that is really awesome. I definitely think this deck was extremely intentional. Like, for instance, whoa, with the World card here, not only does this person's earrings have the 2 animals that represent, so the World card has the fixed signs in them, and we have man, which is like a pin in her hair. We have the eagle, another pin in her hair, and then the lion and the bull are in her earrings. So very intentional. Even her she has like a snake wrapped around her arm as like a little arm cuff, and then she has all of the elements tattooed along her skin. So all of the same elements of the traditional world card are in this card, but it's in a much more contemporary way. Earlier I said inclusive, and I feel like that wasn't the right word. It's very contemporary in that way. So even people who are like turned off by new age spirituality practices, or how a lot of people feel that they have like watered down traditional practices, I don't think this deck does that. I think this deck kind of bridges the gap, which I think is really awesome. And I know that Rachel True, I believe she's a Scorpio, so I think, you know, there was a lot of thought and depth that went into this deck. I don't feel that it's a surface level deck at all. It really took all of the elements into account, whether in the cards and the imagery and in the book itself. I believe Rachel True did not illustrate the book. I'm trying to find the illustrator's name. Illustrated by Stephanie Singleton. Package design by Raphael Garoni. So I don't know if Rachel collaborated with the design here, but I will say that the imagery in the cards is very, very special, and this Stephanie person did a great job. Let's see. All of the major arcana cards have their own page, by the way. They have like a large chapter with the image, whereas the minor arcana then have its own chapter, and then they have smaller segments within. So please comment and let me know what you think of the deck. Let me know what you think of the messages as they are channeled, especially for your sign. I'm going to put the timestamps below. So feel free to just kind of move forward if you're tired of hearing me talk and go over to your sign. You can apply this to your big three, sun, moon, rising, but you could also even consider looking into your Venus, which I tend to do. Anywho, let's get started. This is going to be for Aries. Aries, again, apply to sun, moon, rising, Venus, Aries. Obviously, we have Saturn entering Aries and staying there this year, so let's see what comes out for you guys. What do Aries need to know at this time, Spirit? What does Aries need to hear, know, understand at this time? I'm gonna do one shuffle this way. And this is for Aries. All right. And you got 4 cards, Aries. A lot of discs, which I will say, obviously I tried to shuffle them. And as I keep moving the deck around, the cards are going to become more and more shuffled. But for you, Aries, you did get some cards in numerological order. So you did get the 7, the 8, and the 9 of discs. You got 7, you got 8, and you got 9. So one thing I will say about this is a very positive progression, these cards. It shows there's a sense of momentum, and there's a sense of like breaking through here. I think that if you are feeling, whether it's unstable, behind, stagnant, frustrated that something isn't coming to fruition, you are being called to lock in. I will say that. That's one thing. You may need to eliminate distractions, even kind of put yourself in isolation, or just kind of focus in on whatever it is that might be, I'm hearing unfinished. You know, I feel like this 7 of coins is showing you that you could be dwelling on what you don't have, like what you have yet to achieve, what you want to achieve. It's kind of like, I can't wait until I get here. Like, I really don't like this stage. Like, really, is this all that I got right now? Whereas you're not realizing that if you don't dwell on that and you actually focus, you're going to have everything you want. You're not going to have to like do the monotonous work. Or for some of you, this could even be regarding like a 9-to-5 or the career that you're in. For all of these discards to come out, it definitely shows this has something to do with finances, with monetization, with career, or stability overall. And so some of you are definitely feeling almost like the work you're doing is not amounting to the outcome that you want, and you keep feeling like how much longer am I gonna have to do this without seeing the results. Know that it's not that much longer. You're almost at the breakthrough, but you got to stay consistent and not allow the distractions or the like desire for instant gratification to deter you. So keep that in mind. This card, I don't know why I'm getting an Elphaba reference. I know why, because this card literally looks like Cynthia Erivo, but I'm hearing like Elphaba, which I will admit, and I've said online, I was not really a Wicked fan. I'm not really into that series. Obviously I understand the tropes and like the representation of Elphaba, and so if you resonate with Elphaba and I feel like this is about maybe feeling underappreciated, undervalued. At times you could even feel overworked and undervalued. You may feel like you have the skills or the know-how for certain things, but then other people are getting the opportunities based on how they look, based on you know, just more superficial qualities. And so I feel this could even be that you feel you don't have the resources right now. Like other people are able to pay their way, or maybe they have certain connections. And again, this feels like it has to do with social currency as well as like actual money. So for some of you, you could feel frustrated, like, oh, you are expected to like always be behind the scenes, or maybe you are the one who is making these people look good and you never get your shot. You're never quite given that opportunity. That's what I'm seeing for many of you. There's definitely something to do with like image as well, like how you feel that you look, or like an identity, like something about your identity kind of like dying away and you needing to step into this new identity. It could even be like shedding or removing what is the word that I'm looking for? Old ways of representing yourself, if that makes any sense. Old ways of like how, like, I'm trying to find the words, but how others used to see you, changing that narrative. So I feel like it's up to you and how you move, or however you lock in, whatever way you're being called to like focus your energy and eliminate these distractions. You're being told to do so that you can kind of prove it to yourself and to other people what you're truly capable of. But when you dwell and even take like this victim mindset, you are not utilizing your energy properly, because the last card you have here is the Six of Swords. And so I do feel like you're being called to like free yourself of a certain mentality. The swords are air energy, so it's thought patterns, it's your mental state. And so the Six of Swords being reversed, the Six of Swords is typically about liberation, about leaving an environment that's no longer good for you, that feels that is keeping you stuck or keeping you stagnant. And that oftentimes can even feel like unsafe, like where you don't feel valued, seen, heard. And so going back to this Seven of Discs card, where some of you may feel this way, like your efforts aren't being aren't amounting to anything, or maybe you've been trying and trying, or waiting and waiting, and you don't really feel like things are adding up. I'm literally hearing the math isn't mathing. So this could be like your salary. This could be like how much work you're doing, you know, how much energy you're expelling, and like that energy isn't returning. So it definitely feels like your environment has something to do with it. Pentacles can also be like foundational energy, or like the discs card here, it could be like where you're building. If you think about a plant that needs to grow, the soil and the quality of that soil is going to contribute to that plant's ability to grow. And so this is the same for you guys. So I think for some of you guys, you're actually being called, like you could see this person is kind of like tilling the earth, and this even makes me think of cultivating relationships. If you think of the number 7 in numerology is often regarding relationships. And so the 7 of discs does feel like this is about what is missing, you know, in your communities, in your immediate environment, in your connections. And so maybe needing to pull back and kind of focus on your own inner work, your own foundations, your own values, and what it is you're trying to achieve. So then you can then come out and realize, okay, these people are the best for me. This environment is the best for me. But right now I feel like you guys are feeling a little bit lost, a little bit unsatisfied, or like discontent, you know. And so you may need to really pour all of that energy, rather than into like dwelling and feeling sorry for yourself, pour that energy into realizing that you're the one who's going to liberate yourself from this cycle, from this environment. And so in order to do so, it will require a mentality shift. I even see like one thing is the spiders, or like the web. The web even shows consistency. You know, like wind can blow a spider web away. Humans come and mess it up. This shows how different elements that are outside of your control may come and try to threaten your progress, but it's up to you to stay consistent and focused on that goal. And one thing about spiders that I learned recently was that if they're in your home, they kind of observe your routine and like the hours that you're awake and whatever, in order to know how to like navigate around you. So this is also about awareness. It's also about foresight and recognizing that if you keep falling into similar patterns, or if there's a stagnant energy in your life, there's something that you're either not seeing, there's something that you're not tending to, you know. And so you need to kind of lock in that sense, focus, and kind of look at like, why does this pattern keep happening? Why am I stuck? Why am I not moving forward? What is in my way? What can I, you know, tend to in order to cultivate an environment or a situation that allows me to actually progress and also preserve anything that you have already built? You know, you don't want it to be threatened. And you also don't want to self-sabotage by negative thinking or distractions or anything like that. There's even this like kind of grass is greener mentality here, where you could be comparing yourself to other people, or you're comparing your lifestyle to other people, and kind of feeling like, I'd be so much happier if I only had this, or I'd be so much better off if I had those opportunities. But you're not recognizing that the path in front of you is your path for a reason. And so you have to commit to your path in order to get to where you are meant to be and where you want to be. And that, you know, focusing all these other things that are out of your control or have nothing to do with you are only going to keep you stuck and keep you like beating a dead horse, for instance, or, you know, doing the same thing and expecting different results, which people say is the definition of insanity. But this 9 of discs card is literally like independence, feeling yourself, knowing your worth, like feeling confident and secure in your own skin. And so that's what you're meant to cultivate. But the isolation, the having to do it on your own, the having to be resourceful and possibly even like isolate and distance yourself from certain distractions right now, that's all going to lead you to this. It's helping you build the foundations to your own sense of self, you know, so that you can kind of step into your power. And then all of these flowers show abundance, the abundance that is at your feet and at your fingertips. But it's just about a mentality shift in order for you to truly bloom and to, you know, step into your true nature. Okay, I love that for you, Aries. Time to move on to Taurus. Okay, Taurus. So we are going to just see what cards come out again. For Aries, 4 cards pulled out. Interesting. All right, so Taurus, what needs to come out for Taurus as we shuffle these cards? I will say what I found interesting is the card that Aries just got, you guys got as well, but we're going to see what else comes out in regards to context for you. I think a lot of people are feeling stuck right now. The card that came out for you guys that Aries received was the 6 of Swords reversed. And so that's why I say I feel like a lot of people are feeling stuck right now. A lot of people are like knowing that they need to make a change, but unsure of where to start, or they could even feel like a lot of things are kind of feeding into each other. I'm hearing catch 22, catch 22. So just when you think you've found a solution, or just when you've realized, okay, this is what I need, something else may come up to then prevent you from being able to access that thing or tend to that thing. Sorry, heart's falling out. Okay. Major arcana, a lot of major arcana for you guys, Taurus. Taurus, you guys are definitely stepping into like a very important chapter of your life. That's what I will say. Important. You're going to be making important connections this year. You're going to be, well, you're being called to embrace your emotions, and really work on what you've been not expressing ultimately. So what you have here, the first card was a Six of Swords reversed. Again, I told Aries that the swords are about your mental state and your thought patterns. So keep that in mind, especially being reversed. That shows that there's something that you're not able to process right now, or that you're not seeing clearly, or you aren't thinking clearly about, and it's causing you to be stuck. It could even be stuck in your head. It could even cause you to like not trust your intuition right now. And so what I feel with the Six of Swords is it could also be past experiences. You know, when you kind of start assuming certain things because of what happened in the past, there's a need for you guys to move forward and kind of start to establish like trust again, and be able to be like vulnerable and present with people. That's really what I'm hearing, because you have the Lovers card here. So I do think you're going to be, I'm hearing partnerships specifically, not just like one, but it could be a community of people or a group of people. It could be even like an industry, or somewhere like I'm seeing a sense of belonging for you guys, where you guys this year could be finding, or even soon, it doesn't even have to be this year, like months away. For some of you, this actually does feel like the general theme of this year for you because of the major arcana cards. Like this stuff isn't necessarily going to happen overnight, but it is going to be like a major theme of your year. And so this Lovers card, it really feels like finding a place, a safe place where you feel like you belong, where you feel like you're understood, but also feel like you're supported, or where you can finally shine, where you can finally express yourself and feel received and feel seen and feel heard. And so I definitely see this being some kind of environment where you can, I'm also hearing escape too. So it could be like a social media platform. Say for some of you guys, I'm hearing like Substack. I don't know why, Taurus, if some of you guys are on social media, or if you have like a social media platform and lately you've been feeling like you aren't getting as much interactions or engagement, you might need to change platforms. For some of you guys, you may realize that the platform that you're currently on is actually holding you back, and when you switch platforms, you're going to be way more successful. You could end up finally suddenly like everything kind of aligns for you in terms of finding your people, or finding your clients, or finding your community. That is one thing I'm seeing for many of you, like suddenly getting some exposure, or suddenly being like, whether it's championed or like shouted out by someone. Like that's also what I'm seeing. Like someone could help you go viral, or could help you get recognition. The sun is in this card twice, and then we have the moon in the middle of it. So to me, the sun and the moon, like the luminaries, always make me think of resonance. Like you being on the same page with someone, you feeling understood to a degree, especially when I see them in like a tarot spread. It's also a form of like expression, you know? What's the word that I'm looking for? Authenticity, you know? So Taurus, I feel like that is what you're being called to focus on. Like somewhere that you currently are may not allow you to be as authentic as you could be. Somewhere may not feel safe for you to do so. And so it feels like you will thrive so much more if you go somewhere else. and you're honestly being called. It's like your spirit with the dogs barking at the moon and with these birds literally like coming and pulling this person out into safety. It really shows that your spirit, or even, you know, your ancestors, your guides, are like screaming at you to make this change, and it's something that you deeply desire and like crave, but there could still be some fears here. And I do think it has to do with certain relationships and being worried that you might not like find your people, or, you know, well, I already know what to expect in this. It is that mentality. It's like, you know what to expect in the environment that you're currently in, so you're willing to tolerate it, although it's limiting you and although it isn't necessarily like feeding your spirit. Whereas if you go somewhere else, yes, it may come with the unknown, and yes, it may kind of put you on this journey of having to like rediscover your people or make new friends or whatever it might be. Say you move, or, you know, transfer schools, or change jobs or something. Like, yes, you will have to reestablish those connections, but I feel like in doing so, you're going to like discover yourself, and that's what this lovers card is really about. It's about people being a mirror for you and helping you to kind of explore your own sense of self through other people. It's represented by Gemini, and so it does feel like you are needing to kind of let go and explore, you know, and see like what life brings to you, because you're craving something. Your soul and your spirit is at unrest, but you are wanting to be at rest. This card feels like a utopia, like, I don't know, like a garden of joy and peace. And so that's what you want to get to, where you feel like everything you need is around you and everyone you need is around you. But right now, you don't feel that. You might feel alone. You might feel empty. You might feel very dissatisfied. There's a sense of isolation, or like, you know, just feeling unseen. And so that is what you need to work on right now, Taurus, is being brave enough to leave this environment and go off and explore something that might be better and more aligned with you, even if there is this sense of unknown or unpredictability. That doesn't mean it's going to be a bad thing, especially if right now you're simply tolerating your environment, or you're not genuinely happy and content. So that's for Taurus. All right, Gemini. This is a message for Geminis. Everyone's been getting 4 cards so far, so let's see what comes out for you, Gemini. All right. 4 cards for Gemini. Oh, no. Okay, only one flipped upright, so we are going to keep that out. It's the King of Cups reversed. Immediately, I'm thinking about, this is another person. It could be you guys, but someone is very emotionally withdrawn in your life right now, Gemini. Okay, let's see. This is, all right. One more card, please. Can we clarify these cards for Gemini? Just one more card, please. All your cards are coming out reversed, Gemini. Okay. Very interesting. You guys got the King of Cups reversed. You got the 10 of Swords reversed. You have the 9 of Swords reversed. And you have Temperance. So one major arcana card, it being the final card, also shows me that that is going to be your solution, your advice, or your guidance about this situation. However, this King of Cups definitely is feeling like someone who is very dismissive. The way that the upright card kind of has this cup coming out of nowhere, when it's reversed, it makes me think of them like shooing or pushing it off and pushing it away. So immediately I think of someone who is emotionally aware. They're aware of their emotions, but they are either repressing them or dismissing them, or they could be dismissing your emotions right now. And I will say that this is likely out of survival. Being the King of Cups, this person may have, whether it's a lot of responsibilities or people depending on them or something to that regard. And it feels like this person could feel like they are even drowning in like everybody else's problems or everybody else's needs. And when it comes to their own, they are not, either they're not in tune with their emotions or they're very much repressing them, their own needs, their own emotions, their own like feelings at this time. And so if you are feeling like someone in your life is kind of like detached or hasn't been as responsive or as involved, that is why. This person could actually be going through a lot. There is the Ten of Swords here, and it is reversed. The Ten of Swords upright is a betrayal. It's an ending. It is some kind of like devastating loss at times, and it can feel like a backstabbing or someone being done wrong, you know, someone being let down. So reverse to me, I'm hearing redemption by Drake. Redemption on your mind when you think about me. I'm hearing Scorpio, Cancer with this King of Cups. So you guys could be either dealing with a Scorpio or a Cancer. Gemini placements, like this could also be you. It does feel like a masculine energy, but this could be like a masculine presenting non-binary person. This could be a masculine woman. This could be a actual man. This could be your boyfriend, your husband, your ex, your whoever, you know, but this could also be you, Gemini. So anyway, redemption on your mind when you think about me. Cancer and Scorpio energy. Drake also has those placements. That's a Drake song. Very interesting. So someone might want redemption, or they might be thinking about how, like, what they have done to you. And I don't know if you've expressed anything to this person. And like I said, they may have come off as like dismissive or detached, but or like they brushed you off. They're thinking about it. A lot of swords here. I feel like this person is thinking about the betrayals, thinking about how it affected you, thinking about the redemption of it all, knowing that this is likely something that you're going to hold them to as well. And that could even be why they're dismissive. Maybe they don't know what to say. Maybe they know that anything they say isn't really going to help the situation. They're definitely looking back on their past actions, the things that they may have said to you or done to you, and realizing you did not deserve it. Realizing that whether it is they overreacted, and it does feel like it's because they weren't thinking clearly. This Nine of Swords is someone who's realizing that their self-sabotaging ways, like, were holding them back. Like that their negative thoughts, their intrusive thoughts, their assumptions, their paranoia had caused them to act in a way that led to self-sabotage. And so this does feel like this person's being liberated, or they're realizing something. They're coming to terms with how they treated you. And it does feel like someone is trying to heal or trying to figure out how they can reverse the effects of what they did. But I feel like this person also knows that it's going to take time. And I feel like this person also recognizes that they have a lot of work to do on themselves. Like it starts with them, you know? Oh, this is very interesting. And then the 10 and the 9 show an ending. Like an ending already happened. A loss already happened. And it's something that they are like thinking about. So this could definitely be someone who's either not in your life or someone who is like afraid to lose you. Like they could feel like, oh no, like I'm never going to be able to get this person back, or if I keep doing this, this person's going to walk away. Like they're very much aware. So if you feel this person's not Like, say you think they're emotionally immature or emotionally unavailable. That's not what it is. This person's actually extremely emotional, but they dismiss their own emotions. And it could be what they, like, how they were taught to cope or survive. But they're realizing that it's caused them to, like, miss out on certain relationships, certain connections, a certain level of intimacy, that it kind of, I'm seeing, like, with the King of Cups, I think of the King of Cups as someone who wants to, like, nurture and build and, like, make other people feel, like, safe and seen and everything. So reversed, it shows that this person hasn't been able to do that because of their own blockages or limitations. And so it's not that this person doesn't deeply desire that, it's just that they're having a hard time getting there. So with this Temperance card, this is you guys' energy, Gemini. This is what you need to embrace. And it does make me think of, like, not worrying about them, being able to be intuitive, but also being able to be very logical and kind of going back and forth and being able to weigh that out and find the balance in that, you know, not overly empathizing with this person to the point where you aren't protecting yourself or considering your own needs, but also trying to empathize with them enough that you understand that this isn't personal, this isn't a, you know, a personal attack or anything like that. And so, because it does feel like that's what's going to help you to detach, you know, that's what's going to help you to kind of see things more clearly. And for some of you, I do feel like you may need to, like, distance yourself from this person. It's interesting because this is a king, right? And in the distance, this castle is lit up. So it almost feels like this person left the castle and they're now at a distance and they're able to kind of see it from a different point of view, because they left it behind or because they went off on their own journey to find their own truth. And that's what I'm seeing with the Temperance card. The Temperance card is Sagittarius energy. So it is about self-exploration and your own philosophy of life and exploring, you know, foreign lands and all of those things that Sagittarius and Jupiter represents. And it's also about inner wisdom, but it's wisdom gained through experience. And so for you guys, I do feel like you're being told to be what's that called, objective regarding the situation and try to see this person, like, why this person is responding the way that they're responding. And what is the word? Empathize with them. Yes, be patient with them to a degree, because the Temperance card is about patience, but it doesn't mean you have to stay. You know what I mean? It doesn't mean you have to keep trying to get through to them or betraying yourself in the process. You know, it does feel like you need to focus on your own needs right now and also your own journey, like all the things you're meant to explore and discover. And even if it means doing it without this person, it feels like that is a necessary step in order to kind of, like, live in your own truth, honor yourself, and also to show this person that you deserve more, you know, like, because this person does deserve the consequences of whether it's not being able to access you or whatever else, if they're going to continue to fail you or disappoint you or take advantage of you. But this feels deeper than that, like something that requires empathy and objectivity, because this feels, I don't know why I wanted to use the word systemic, or it feels like it's like a generational thing. It could be a parent, or like again, like a friend or a partner or something, but because of their life experiences, it led them to be this way. And so it feels like rather than trying to blame them, it's about empathizing with them, and recognizing, like, they're this way because of this, and knowing that they do want to work on it, but it might take more time than, you know, you should be waiting around for, basically. I do think in the meantime, you got to just do you, basically, Gemini. That's what I'm seeing here. Okay, time to move on. This is going to be for Cancer. Cancer. Are you dealing with the Gemini, Cancer? Because I feel like you were all up in their reading. But let's see what comes up for you guys. We're going to get a few cards. Cancer. Ooh. Okay. Any other cards for Cancer? Okay. Cancer. Are you doubting yourself right now? You guys have the Strength card. You have the Ace of Cups reversed. You have the Hanged Man reversed. And you have the Emperor reversed. I definitely feel like you guys are doubting yourself right now. Just because it feels like some of you may be feeling like nothing's going right. You could feel like you're trying to hold on and you're trying to be strong and you're trying your best to keep it all together as well. Keep your composure, but you could feel like you're kind of at wit's end. Is that what they say? I'm seeing that, at wit's end. You could also feel like you have lost faith. So the Hanged Man and the Emperor reversed, both being major arcana cards. You have a lot of major arcana cards. So what I'm seeing for you guys, Cancer, is like you have kind of lost sight of what truly matters to you or what truly like motivates you, because I don't know if you've just been like overly practical or even prideful. Like that's what I'm seeing, is like maybe you haven't wanted to show people your weaknesses or your failures, or you haven't wanted to admit to those things. Definitely seeing someone who's like trying to keep it all together and like, I'm fine, this is fine, everything's fine, I'm going to figure it out. But in those moments where you're either alone or in those moments of silence or pause, you become very overwhelmed and like emotionally consumed by whatever is weighing at you. But this like pride, this bravado is what I'm kind of hearing. It's like this bravado is preventing you from actually getting the help you need and the support you need. And it's also preventing you from being like the leader and the like trailblazer that you know that you can be, Cancer. So you have the Emperor reverse. This is a leader. This is someone who knows what they want, is going for it, and is very focused on their goals. I feel like the Emperor is someone who's very strategic and they have a lot of foresight, whereas right now it feels like you're lacking foresight, or even when it comes to being able to be resourceful, even when it comes to like allowing your intuition to guide you, Cancer, which is something you guys are typically very naturally good at. You're struggling to do that right now because you aren't in tune with your emotions, because you're repressing certain things out of shame or fear of being too much, or being overwhelming, being rejected. I genuinely feel like you guys have convinced yourself that you are like, you need to tame yourself, you need to hold back. That's the issue right now, is yes, there's a time and place, and yes, there is a way of expressing yourself in order to like be heard or not be off-putting to other people, but that doesn't mean to like completely get rid of your passion, you know? Like that doesn't mean being like monotonous and dispassionate and boring, you know? Like I don't want to say boring, but that's kind of what I'm seeing, is like you guys have watered yourself down or filtered yourself so much that you now are having a hard time even expressing yourself or coming up with ideas or being able to like reach that breakthrough. So I feel like what this is saying for you guys, Cancer, is you kind of need to reestablish that relationship with your shadow side. You need to definitely do some like inner work or some self-reflection. It feels like you haven't wanted to get vulnerable with yourself or other people lately because of what it brings up. But I don't think until you allow that stuff to spill out and spill over that you're going to actually be able to like get past it or work through it. So that is what I'm seeing for you. There could even be a woman in your life who is trying to, someone who could even be intimidating. I feel like this is someone who's trying to like get through to you, who has been trying to either be there for you or show you that like these parts of yourself are things that you can embrace, that you should embrace. But I'm seeing fear. Like it feels like fear, intimidation, like you haven't been ready to embrace that. So either you're not listening. This person also feels like they really see you. They get you. They're more like you than different. This person very much empathizes with you and could be someone who ends up helping you heal. Like it could be a guide, it could be a family member or a friend. It does feel like someone who is kind of eccentric. They could be like very free-spirited with the blue hair, very outspoken individual. Certain things like the blue makes me think of throat chakra energy. And it makes me think of someone who has worked with their own shadow self, has done, you know, that healing, and is trying to help you to kind of embrace those sides of yourself as well, to integrate them and to feel more like whole or full or capable. Yeah, so if this could be someone who's kind of like spunky or youthful, so listen to this person, especially because I feel like some of you guys are more reserved, like this emperor energy, even this hangman, like the way that he's dressed, it's just giving like very reserved, understated. And so you might be someone who has always kind of buried those different parts of yourself, or you haven't wanted to like stand out. This person may have once been like you, and it's like they did the work and now they see you and they see that about you, and they're trying to help you realize, like, you know, don't worry about what people think, or, you know, don't be ashamed of being so passionate, or don't be ashamed of your anger, or don't be ashamed of being sensitive or emotional, or whatever else it might be. You can express these things. And I feel like for many of you, I am feeling like a masculine energy, or like that this might pertain to certain men. And what I'm seeing is that this emperor reverse, that once you embrace these parts of yourself and you don't try to be like other people, or, you know, you aren't looking at what other people, like, you know, oh, that person is popular because they act like that, or they say this, or they dress like this. Once you start to be yourself and you like tune into what makes you different, I think that that's what's going to help you stand out. That's what's going to help people trust you and want to turn to you for whether it's advice or different things. Because right now, I feel like that's what you guys are feeling. Like you're undervalued, like people don't see you, like people don't understand you or something, like, but you're so capable. But it's like until you kind of show people and until you're willing to be vulnerable, it makes me think like every leader had to fail at some point. Every leader had to like mess up and make mistakes and be humbled at some point. And so that's what you're learning right now. And also every leader was criticized at one point. You know, not everyone wants them to lead, or not everyone agrees with what they say. And so that's what this feels like. You learning to take criticism. You like honestly also learning to stop with the self-criticism so much, you know, or internalizing what other people have said or might say. Or, you know, I think for you guys, Cancer, you're being called to like really own who you are, and that's gonna bring in a lot of success and also clarity for you as well. I'm like, with some of you, you may be creatives, and it's like you're creative, like there's a lot of creative blocks right now because you're overthinking a lot and you're repressing a lot. And once you stop doing that and you just like own who you are and what you're about, you're gonna see everything come together. So I love that for you guys. Okay, Leo. This is gonna be for Leo placements. What do you need to hear right now? Timeless reading for Leos. This is going to be for Leos. Ooh, too many cards. Can we throw those back in? This is going to be for Leos. Okay. Leos. You guys also have some major arcana cards. 3 major arcana cards with the Princess of Cups. Love this card. Princess of Cups, the World, the Devil, and the Tower. I'm not gonna lie, these 2 cards are kind of ominous as fuck. But what I will say is, YouTube, don't cancel me either. I just realized, I'm like, do I need to like cover their bodies because they're naked? I really hope this video doesn't get blocked because of that. But the Devil card looks extremely ominous. I literally am going to cover these naked bodies because I'm afraid that they're going to try to take down my video or something. And then the Tower card. I realized I didn't do that with the Lovers card earlier, and oh well. I think it's so dumb that they do that. But anywho, the Princess of Cups and the World card, what I will say is this obviously isn't the same exact person, but the reference that I got, especially being a princess or the page, which is like a beginner, novice energy, someone who is typically inexperienced and is still learning, whereas the World is a major arcana card, it's fully evolved. It makes me think that you started here and you could even still be here in terms of your development emotionally, your awareness. I think that for some of you, it's like a new level. It's not like you're a complete beginner. It's like you may have recently come to certain realizations, and those breakthroughs or those realizations are kind of helping you to evolve. I'm also seeing, like, I'm hearing quantum leap, especially with the World. The World card always makes me think of like something coming full circle or something that has been completed. And so with this person's hair short and almost like shaved down versus this person with a full fro and they have adornments in their hair, it makes me think of the wisdom, you know, like if you think of the crown chakra, for instance, or how Black women refer to their fro or their hair as their crown, it makes me think of that growth and the awareness that you have come into. I'm for some reason hearing like over this past year, or yeah, it feels like a year's time, like looking back at yourself from last year. It could even be something like where your hair actually did grow or something. Maybe you had cut your hair and now it's much longer or it's getting longer. But this also shows your own growth and your own progress, if that makes any sense. Many of you could be coming into yourself in a way that's like you finally know who you are. You could express yourself differently. You could have like very distinct things about you that people are like, oh, that's their thing or that's them. Like you have grown to know yourself in a way that you did not once know yourself. And so what I'm hearing is something might be coming up that kind of tries to tempt you back into the less evolved version of yourself. There could even be someone coming into your life who either assumes that you are still this old version of yourself, you're still like naive, or you're still unaware of certain things. And it makes me think of dynamics, like, because the World card also makes me think of like, you know, worldly matters, patterns, being able to see things from a different perspective, or being able to be like omniscient to a degree, especially with the way that she's looking at this world, holding it as if it's like a fortune ball. Sorry, there's a better word for that, but I can't think of it right now. Anywho, like a scry ball. But anywho, that's what makes me that's what this makes me think of. And so you have gained this level of awareness that people don't realize. And I do feel like there's going to be some kind of temptation that comes back into your life. What I also realize, or what I also think, is this temptation, you're actually going to respond very well to it, but it is going to kind of signify the end of an era for you, or the end of a lesson, the end of something that maybe you didn't think that you had completely learned or realized. But I feel like you're going to be tested and you're going to come out triumphant. And this tower that I'm seeing, it doesn't feel like devastating, even though the card itself seems kind of daunting. This makes me think of you, like old paradigms being broken down, you know, you finally releasing old mentalities, old connections, old patterns, old conditioning, and basically rebuilding, you know? And so you're liberating yourself right now. This feels like what's happening presently. So whenever you see this, that's what's happening. If you are doubting yourself, because that's what this feels like. Maybe you're doubting yourself. Maybe you aren't, like, you're not happy with where you are, or you're dissatisfied with something, because the Princess of Cups also makes me think of someone who like wants more, like you want more fulfillment. You're like, there's still something missing, you know, which I feel like you are, I'm hearing you're right where you should be, you know what I mean, that you've done the work, but also like in order to continue to see progress, you are going to have to be careful of the ability to be tempted by your restlessness. That's kind of what I feel. This Princess of Cups is someone who's restless, who's curious, not necessarily always naive, because you have learned, you know better now, but this part of you is still in there. This could be like your inner child that still wants attention. This could be, you know, you seeking validation at times. Like there's still some part of you where, although you're aware of your own like behaviors, tendencies, etc., that still deep down might be drawn to certain behaviors because of this part of you, you know. It could be a wound that isn't completely healed, and so there could even be certain people who bring this side out of you. The Devil card really makes me think of a pattern you're trying to break, like your temptations, your vices, like your weaknesses, and only certain people are aware of those weaknesses. And so I do feel like you're also being called to like close out those cycles, you know, let those people know like they no longer have access to you, or I'm no longer a dummy, or I'm no longer a clown, you know, like I no longer can be taken advantage of in that way. So that if you want access to me, these are my rules and regulations, these are my conditions. And that's also what this card makes me think, with all of the with all of the fixed signs being represented here. It really makes me think of like what you've learned about yourself, what is your fundamental truth, you know what I mean, and what can't be shaken from you based on what you've experienced, what you've gained, what you've learned, what you've come to realize. Also, what I'm hearing is like, it's okay to have those weaknesses. It's okay to feel how you feel, or to be tempted, or to miss your old self or old people, but it's a matter of like knowing better, you know what I mean? So interesting. A lot of the readings that I feel like I've been doing, I'm hearing this underlying message or this theme of like honoring who you once were, and even holding that person sometime, you know, like revisiting that person sometimes, letting them know they're still valid, like not abandoning them, but also recognizing that like you can't spend as much time being them or with them if you want to progress in life. So in a way, this is about like finding ways to like honor your shadow and honor your inner child and honor, you know, that hedonism that you might have. Like, say you're a very sexual person and you want to just have casual sex sometimes, but you're also aware that that could lead to toxic patterns. And so you're like, how can I channel this in a way that is healthy for me and for the other parties and, you know, involved? It makes me think of, maybe you like spending money, you know, or drinking or doing drugs or whatever it might be. Like, maybe you're into psychedelics or something. Like, it makes me think of that, where you're like, well, this is something I want to honor within myself, but it has to be moderated and it has to come at the right time, and it can't be something that is reckless or to the point of self-sabotage or self-defeat. You know, you can't let this thing override what you know is best for you, and you can't let it like overtake who you are as a person or become like your identity. You know, that's also what I'm seeing here, is you can indulge and you could be this and you could be that, and you should be, because at the end of the day, we're human. Like, to pretend that everyone's oh so pure and virtuous and we do no wrongs and we have no like dark thoughts or things that, you know, like, that is unrealistic. So I think that's something you're working on. Like, I don't know why I'm hearing that. I'm hearing God level. Like, I feel like you guys are so focused on trying to be like God level, which makes sense, being ruled by the sun. Like, you really like want to be perfect and like do no wrong, and you know, that is not always realistic, Leo. You are still human at the end of the day. So keep that in mind. I think any of your woes or your feelings of frustration have to do with you holding yourself to a pretty unrealistic standard. And this Princess of Cups is just trying to remind you, like, you will always be a student to life. You will always have something to learn. You will always have something that you are ignorant about or that you didn't know. And that is okay. But it's about, when you do know better, doing better, and knowing that that is like a lifelong journey, basically, Leo. So get out of your head. Stop like taxing yourself when it comes to like, I should have known better and I should have done this and I should have done that and I can't believe I never did that. And you know, I think that that is actually contributing more to your setbacks in life or more to any downfalls than the actual act of doing those things itself. It's your mentality around them and your shame or your guilt or your frustration with yourself. So once you heal that and learn to have a healthy relationship with your shadow, I think you will be a lot more content and a lot happier. Okay, let's move on. Virgos, what do you need to hear? Virgos, what do you need to hear at this time? Virgo. Let's see. Virgo. What do you need to hear at this time, Virgo? What do Virgos need to hear, Spirit? Thank you for these messages so far. What does Virgo need to hear at this time, Spirit? Ooh, okay, Virgo. You are being protected. Oh, snap. Okay. I'm going to leave this one out as well. You had a lot of cards trying to come out, but this Three of Cups feels important. Okay, Virgo. You got Six of Swords, but you got it upright, whereas all the other cards, or all the other people who got it, received it reversed. So I like this for you because it shows that whatever has recently taken place, if there was an ending of some kind, a transition, a loss, it was actually protection. You were, I'm hearing like just in the nick of time. Like, I feel like you were removed from somewhere before things could get even worse. If this is a job, if this is a house, if this is something, like, you guys need to realize like you are actually heavily protected. Something was also draining your energy, and for some of you it could still be draining your energy. if you haven't left an environment or had to leave an environment recently, you definitely are being called to consider taking the steps to make that happen, because you have the Five of Wands here. There is a lot of conflict taking place, inner conflict, but I personally feel like it is coming from outer circumstances, or that feeling of constantly having to like defend yourself. So this could just be a lack of alignment and compatibility. There's this King of Wands energy here. For some of you, this is definitely you, but for many of you, this is someone else that you're dealing with. And it feels like someone who is very full of themselves, or like pompous or prideful. You could even be being seen this way. That's what I feel like this conflict is about. Like, this King of Wands feels like someone who, like, you know what I'm hearing? Her, she. Anyway, like, that's what I'm hearing. And so it could be this energy of like people either being threatened or intimidated or just put off. I don't even want to say threatened or intimidated. It's like a difference in nature. You're a certain way and it puts people off, and it's because they aren't that way. So they just simply don't understand. It's definitely a lack of compatibility, a lack of like understanding and jiving, a lack of truly being able to also like see you. You know what I mean? Like, these people are incapable of seeing you, likely because of their own insecurities. And that's what I'm seeing here. This Five of Wands makes me think of like defensiveness. It makes me think of projection, especially being in this person's head, with all of the, like, basically a representation of Medusa. If we understand anything about the story of Medusa, she was demonized, you know, and I think she was a Black woman. And so it makes me think of like being demonized and being seen a certain way, or even like when you are defensive, when you do stand your ground, like, you know, being seen a certain way, but it comes out of like a place of necessity and like protection. And so I think this is actually happening both ways. Like, I think that anyone you're dealing with, this is what they're doing, and this is also what you're doing. And that's where all the conflict is coming in. And that's where like the battles, or like I see Five of Wands at times as like battles of the ego, or battle like power dynamics, you know? People trying to like one up each other, or like a very tit for tat energy. And so it all comes from a sense of ego and pride. So I think that right now you are being called to basically remove yourself from this environment, because it's very counterproductive, especially to the things you're trying to create, you're trying to grow, or you're trying to align with. It feels like you actually, nobody is wrong in this situation. People are just not compatible. And so you need to go where you are valued, where you are seen, and where your qualities are actually going to be needed. You know what I mean? Like, you need to go somewhere where people, where one, you could be put in a position of like power or leadership with this King of Wands. So if this is work, for instance, and you're someone who's always fixing or correcting or guiding, and people like are put off by that or intimidated by that, and you feel like there's this like, you know, some jobs, like whether it's your boss or other coworkers, it's like they will do things to try to prevent you from getting ahead, or you being seen for certain opportunities, because they don't want to see you succeed. Or they may not even mention you for certain opportunities because they know that you would get them before anyone else, or they think you're fine and you don't need help because you have it all figured out. That could even be something too. People see you as so confident that you don't need support, that you are fine without them, and that you have all the answers, or whatever else it may be. That's how people perceive you, Virgo. And so you have to remove yourself, you know, like, it doesn't feel like this is something that can be explained. You are definitely not being called to make yourself smaller, or to, you know, over explain yourself or things like that. You are literally, with this Three of Cups, being called to go where you are celebrated, go where people get you, where there are like minds, where nobody is in competition with one another, where people are celebrating each other and also want to come together and work together and aren't put off by doing so, you know, like that don't feel threatened by doing so. So that's really what you need. And I can definitely see that you have had a hard time doing that. You may have like had to kind of figure a lot of things out on your own, or you've really probably had to like put yourself out there in ways and be very unrelenting. That's what I'm seeing for you, is like some people may see you as unrelenting, or I'm hearing the word selfish or self-absorbed even. Some of you also, if you have a Leo placement, Virgos, this is even more true for you guys, because this wand energy here, there's 2 wands cards, so that's fiery energy. So some of you may come across as very fiery. You could have like a Sag or a Leo placement or something, but what was I trying to say? This was out of survival. This was because you had to be this way, you know? But now you're being called to, like, rather than explaining this to people who probably put you in those circumstances and don't see why you had to like gain these certain traits out of survival, or just people who have never experienced what you've experienced, you know, people who aren't built like you, like that also feels important. You cannot explain your life story or like make people understand who simply do not understand. And so yeah, go where you're celebrated, go where you feel seen and heard, where when you're communicating with people, it's not always an argument or defense, you know? That's really what you need. I'm hearing I want War But I Need Peace by Kali Uchis for some of you Virgos. So you might just be so tired. Like you might be someone who's willing to fight for things, and you might be someone who wants people to understand and wants people to come by. I wanted to say kumbaya and come together at the same time, so I was like kumbaya. But like, you know, you want things to be kumbaya. You want to bring people together, but you need peace, and you can't keep being the only one trying to fight to be understood or to be objective or anything else. And so you can't fix other people, and you can't make other people be open-minded, you know? So I think that's why you're being called to, like, when you can, remove yourself from this environment, because this is about liberation. This is about going where you feel seen, safe, you know, held, understood. So that's very, very important right now. I'm also hearing like where you feel nurtured, like where there are resources for you. Like if I think of the chalices and the 3 of Cups card, they're drinking, or they're like, you know, they have what they need, like they feel comfortable in this environment. And then even the fire in the King of Wands cards, like the concept of being able to create fire from kindling, even this kindling in the 5 of Wands, it makes me think, or like these cards crossing and the flowers growing from them, it does make me think of kindling, or, you know, tending to a garden and all of those things. And sometimes those things require teamwork. So it makes me think of like, you're trying to gather resources, and you're trying to 11 on the time, as I say this, you're trying to gather resources, and you're trying to bring people together and get people on the same page, and trying to like, you know, create an environment where everyone can thrive or survive or just be themselves. But there is this conflict, you know, where people either don't want to compromise, don't want to, like, whether it's do their part is what I'm also seeing to some degree. There's a lot of pride, there's a lot of ego, there's a lot of like petty energy that I'm picking up on. And so it's like, in spite, like to spite you, you know, there is this lack of compromise. So you have to go where people are willing to compromise. And it may not even be to intentionally spite you. It's just people being incapable of compromise because of their own ego and their own struggles within themselves. So, yeah, go where people are healed, you know, like that feels very important. Like you've done the healing, or you're actively trying to do the healing, and you're actively trying to like cultivate this environment that allows you to properly heal, and that keeps being obstructed because at times it's like you don't even have the basic things you need, you know what I mean? Whether it's support or understanding, or it doesn't feel like physical things. The physical fire and water and elements feel more like the base, like a representation of the basic necessities that we need as people. Jupiter's in Cancer right now, so it makes me think of like our basic needs in the sense of like we all need, you know, community and nurturing and support and emotional understanding. And it's not just about food and water and this and that. And that's what people are realizing, that in order to survive, we also need each other. And creating environments where we can come together as one is going to be like the only way that we survive, you know? So that's what this is about. If you feel like you're constantly isolated or in conflict or feeling misunderstood or having to defend yourself in these environments, they are not the right environments for you, and it's time to go. So anywho, not to repeat myself so much, but maybe some of you guys needed to hear it like that. Like maybe you already know, I feel, for some of you, and you're just not listening. And I feel like that's a warning that like if you do not remove yourself, something's going to happen to like force you to leave. Like you're going to be snatched out of the environment or pushed out of the environment. And for some of you, I'm hearing that this is something you've had to learn on multiple occasions. So learn the lesson, you know, like don't make it be something that is like chaotic or uncomfortable because you don't want to take the leap now or plan it now. Okay, what is this? Cancer, Leo, Virgo, Libra. Libra, you also got the Princess of Cups. Who got that? Leo? That makes sense. The message that I channeled for them. If you have Leo placements as well, go watch that immediately. But the message I channeled for them was very Libra coded. Like, I feel like I'm always telling you guys, like, be yourself and stop trying to please other people and stop watering yourself down. And that's kind of the vibe they were getting. Okay. A lot of people are not where they should be environmentally right now. And I do think it's out of survival. Like, I have to be here because this is where I can have a roof over my head, or I have to be here because this is where my job is, or whatever. But you guys got to get up out of where you're from, where you're at. And that's funny. I just wanted to say where you're from. So for some of you, you could still be in like your hometown or something. A lot of cards coming out for you guys. And I'm going to leave those two out. I'll show you in a second. But you guys got 5 cards, whereas I was trying to keep it at 4. But Libra, you guys got the Princess of Cups. So this feels like you finally embracing certain emotions or certain needs that you have, certain passions that you have, things that you've been like called to do, or that you've always wanted to explore, or that you've always wanted to express that you have not expressed. It feels like you guys are in a time of your life where you're like childlike wonder, like you're embracing your childlike wonder, and your inner child is really thriving. You could be like being more artistic, you could be like leaning into your hobbies more. That's kind of what this feels like, and I love it for you guys. But one thing that I'm seeing is you could realize there's something that's not in alignment with you, something you don't want, people that you no longer resonate with, communities that you're a part of, or like say it's like a creative field or a job. 111, I'm seeing 111 a lot. 111 for you guys. But you're not leaving it for some reason. So this feels like playing it safe. This feels like your spirit is like, but let's go do the thing, but can we go play, please? Can we try it like this? And you're like, give me a second though, like, you know, wait, not yet. We can't do that yet. We can't embrace that yet, because who knows? It feels like this is about how other people will view you, what other people will think of you, especially with the 3 of Cups. It feels like trying to impress people, or wanting to be seen as relatable or desirable, or even respectable to some people, you know? It does kind of give a keeping up with the Joneses, but like not in that sense where it's like you're trying to flex certain assets or something, it honestly feels like more like you don't gotta lie to kick it, but it's like you're trying to look cool, but what you have going on here or what you want to explore here is much cooler. Libras, I don't know what this is about. Maybe you're trying to be likable or like well received, like maybe you want to be relevant. That's what I think this is. I was trying to find the words, but it feels like you're trying to stay relevant, whereas this Princess of Cups wants to go like against the grain and do things that are more true to them and like where they're at in their journey right now and what they want to learn or explore or embrace. But this is like you not wanting to do it. It honestly makes me think of not Kai Cenat, but like, you know how right now Kai Cenat wants to start the clothing line, and he said that he was afraid of like abandoning or leaving behind his platform because like people are gonna look at him like he's crazy, and that he has to now like make a name for himself in a completely different industry. That's what this feels like. You guys are on your Kai Cenat shit, where it's like, I want to explore these things, and I want to learn these things, and I want to embrace my emotions, and I want to cry to Frank Ocean on camera, but people are over here thinking like, what the fuck are they doing? Like, go make videos, go stream, go make this bread, whatever it might be. Like, that's not cool. That's what this makes me feel like. Like, you're afraid of being judged or not looking cool or not looking like, you know, whatever's popular. It's like you're afraid of not doing what's popular, and that causing you to lose some level of clout or relevance. That's what I'm seeing for you guys. And so what you need to realize though is you are not supposed to fit in. So these are the two cups that fell out, the two cards, sorry, that fell out together. And it is the 9 of discs and the 10 of cups, but the 10 of cups is reversed. So this shows you have been probably trying to build with certain people within a certain industry, and things are not clicking for you. It's like you want so badly to be a part of like a group, but like that group mentality is like, again, like so counterintuitive to who you are as a person. You are the 9 of discs. You are the Princess of Cups, who is always going and exploring and learning new things and wants to like listens to their own intuition when it comes to that. You're not following what's trendy or what's popular or what everybody else says is cool. It's like you listen to your intuition and your instincts, and you let it guide you to your own version of abundance. And so that's what you're being called to do right now. Following the crowd, trying to be relevant, trying to fit in, trying to be relatable is only going to cause you to keep feeling misunderstood, left out, like people don't get you, or like you can't really build in the way that you want to build. You may have even felt in the past like, why doesn't this work out for me? Every time I try to do this with people, things fall through, or whatever it might be. It's because you're being called to work on your own right now. It may not be forever, but it feels like you have to kind of like come into your own first before you can go and work with other people. Because what I'm seeing for you guys is you have so much curiosity, and like you're so open-minded that when you try to like work with other people or collaborate with other people, they often try to like water you down or tell you, no, that's not what people are going to want, or that's not cool, or do it this way, or change this, or make this more like this. And when you listen to those people, it's like you are not honoring what makes you unique and what makes you different. And then you wonder why the outcome isn't as successful, or why you don't get the recognition or the credit, or you never, you don't get ahead or anything like that. It's because you're collaborating with people and they're like draining you of your ideas and your youthfulness and your resources and but I won't even say your resources, because you are the resource. And so it feels like people are draining you, making you think that you're going to benefit from them somehow, when really they're just benefiting from you, and you didn't need them to begin with. Like, you could be successful on your own. You know what I mean? Like, that's what this really feels like. You're meant to be like more so someone who's independent, who doesn't necessarily like isn't always like collaborating with people. That's what's crazy, Libra, is like you may feel like you're inclined to collaborate with people, but you gotta find your own thing that makes you unique and special, so that other people then come to you and you can leverage your uniqueness and your you know, what makes you different, because that is what will make you more valuable than just giving it to people and letting people access it and sprinkling your sauce on whatever they have going on, and then they can claim it as their own. Then you never really get to define that for yourself or define your voice or whatever else it is that you're trying to establish for yourself. So that's what I'm seeing. Some of you may be like, say you're an artist or a painter or a musician or a producer or a DJ, and you have like a certain signature, and then when you go collaborate with people, it's like you keep giving that person your signature, but it feels like you're not doing it in a way where like you get the credits as well, like you're just giving it away. And so you have to learn, like I think of people like T-Pain or David Guetta, or you know, like that's like classic Libra energy, where they became important and then everyone needed them, everyone wanted to work with them, everyone knew that like working with that person is going to make you a hit, is going to make you a star. But then those people were able to have their own accolades and success from that. You know, it's not like just being used or taken advantage of. So that's really what you have to learn, Libra, how to make certain partnerships benefit you as much as it benefits the other person. This is not charity. So please realize that, and realize like you don't actually need people as much as they need you. And so start moving like that, you know. But I'm gonna leave it there. Hopefully that helps you and makes sense. All right, Scorpio. That's crazy. I say, oh, okay, Scorpio, and then there's your card. Isn't that insane? Cool. What I will say is it's still there, Scorpio. Energy is insane. I have not seen this card in this whole time that I have been shuffling and pulling cards for other signs. As soon as we talk about you, Scorpio, there it is. What I will also say is that when I split the deck earlier, one side was the Fool, one side was Death. So that shows me this Death card wanting to reveal itself, and that Fool being on the other side. It shows something's ending and beginning, something within you. Like I hear those two cards together, Fool and Death, it feels like an ego death, you know? But let's see. What does Scorpio need to hear at this time? Let's see if that Death card falls out for you guys, or if it just wanted to kind of say hello for Scorpio. You guys got 7 of discs. Who got that? Aries? The Martians getting the 7 of discs. The Hermit. What else, Scorpio? The Hangman reversed. Oh no. And Temperance. Okay. Very interesting how you have 2 major arcana cards here. You have the Hermit and you have Temperance, and you have the Moon and the Sun in like a very similar imagery here. Both of these people are also on a journey of some kind. They both have like, you know, they're at a distance, you know, they're both obviously walking on a path of some kind or on some kind of journey. And so specifically this Hermit has mushrooms at their feet, so definitely some kind of like new life is being grown from this moment or from this experience. Like a new perspective, a new sense of being. That's what I see when I think of those mushrooms, like something dying within you so that something else can be reborn. And then the Temperance card, there's flowers here, and we also know the traditional imagery of 1 foot on the land, 1 foot in the water, and that balance between your intuition and your logic. And so that is what you're being called to focus on right now, Scorpio. But these cards all together are very interesting. The 7 of discs immediately shows me you're kind of like, what's next? Like you're dissatisfied or impatient, or just kind of feeling like what matters, you know what I mean? Like, what is the purpose of life? that's really what I'm seeing. It kind of feels like you trying to go inward, and maybe you have been doing like the work on yourself, or maybe you have been tending to certain projects or, you know, goals, and you may take a step back and be like, okay, I'm doing the work, but like something still isn't clicking, or something still isn't, it's not hitting, you know, like like I still don't feel fulfilled. And I feel like what I'm seeing for you guys is you are, it's like something to do with your mentality. So obviously with the Hangman, it is reversed and this illumination around his head. And then we have the Temperance, and the planets are like circulating around her head. It makes me think of you having to realize like there are cycles, there's ebbs and flows in life, and there's certain cycles that are about tending, and there's certain cycles that are about like receiving or abundance, and, you know, an influx of energy, where sometimes others cycles are about letting go. Right now it's a balance of both for you, especially with this Temperance card. I think this is also about recognizing like time doesn't always work on your agenda, you know, like you might feel like I want this now, or I did the work so I want to experience these things when I want to experience them, but you're actually being called to like go inward. This Hermit card, sometimes when I see the Hermit card, it makes me think of emerging out of this, you know, hermit energy. Okay, you've been in this hermit energy, and it's time to step out and kind of realize what you've learned and come back, emerge it back into the real world. But this to me actually feels like the need to embrace where you're at. You could be in this kind of hermit stage of your life. Maybe you are more isolated. Maybe you don't feel like you have as many friends. Maybe you're like a floater. Maybe you're on your nomad shit, like traveling here and there. That's what this feels like. Like you've kind of been forced to go on this journey alone, and you could be thinking like something is wrong with you, or you could feel lonely, or you could feel like dissatisfied, like something's missing, when really this is a very important part of your like self-discovery and your journey. You know, this isolation is forcing you to realize certain things that you want that you never realized you wanted, certain things that you need that you didn't realize you needed, certain aspects of your identity that you're meant to like address and explore and like understand on a deeper, more intimate level. With the Seven of Discs as well, the fact that he is like kind of, I don't know if he's raking the leaves off of the rocks. I think that that's what's happening, because you see this like green smudging on this one. It looks like he already did that one, whereas these leaves are still kind of plastered onto the faces. So it feels like dusting off certain parts of yourself, like parts of yourself that have been laying dormant, that you've been ignoring, that you've let collect dust. It could be like parts of your identity, or even certain ideas you have, certain forms of expression. It's about dusting those things off and revisiting them as well. And you've made progress, but now it's about saying like, are you happy? Are you satisfied? Like, what was this all worth? Like, what were you trying to get out of these, you know, things you've been working on, or the things you've been dedicating your time and your energy to? And so if you are coming out of like, okay, I accomplished these things, I did this, maybe you moved, or you got a different job, or you know, put a lot of energy towards something, and you're realizing you're not actually satisfied. But what I'm seeing is like, you may also be impatient. You may also be thinking like you're supposed to see results overnight, or that, okay, I did the thing, like, where is my accolades, or where is my abundance, or where is, you know, like, when am I going to learn the lesson, or when am I going to have the breakthrough? Whatever it may be for you, it feels like you need to like live your life. Like, you need to be more present in life. The Seven of Discs always shows me that. This is someone who's like doing the work, and they're like, okay, while they're doing the work, like, why is they're on the treadmill? Like, why don't I see my, like, the weight falling off of me, you know? And that's what that feels like. But really, this whole process, this whole journey, you being forced into like being patient is teaching you so much about yourself and what you value and what you really need and how to like be present with yourself. A lot of you guys are not actually comfortable in your own isolation or your own solitude. And so that is something that you are being called to work on, because I think by avoiding your solitude at times, it you're basically bearing a lot, you know, where really this temperance is kind of telling you that you need to face it and you need to work through it. And I feel like until you work through it, you're going to keep being forced into this, or you're going to keep feeling dissatisfied. Like you're going to keep feeling like, what is missing? What am I missing? But it's because you're not admitting something to yourself. You're not being honest with yourself about something, or you're not willing to embrace something that your soul deeply desires, wants, needs. A lot of you are very practical. A lot of you are being very, very practical. The one card that isn't upright is the Hangman. So you guys are wise. You do think a lot. You are practical in the sense that like you get shit done. You know what I mean? But you aren't always aware of like your emotional needs, or sometimes like the spiritual importance of certain things in your life. And so you might overlook those things, and now you're kind of being forced to face them and understand like, no, these things happened for a reason. It wasn't just circumstance. It wasn't just a coincidence. These things are happening to teach you certain lessons or teach you certain things about yourself, about the world, about love, about money, about value, about whatever it might be. But like, that's what I'm seeing for you guys. You're kind of being humbled in a way, but you're going to come out a lot more like grounded and self-aware, and also like a lot more secure in your values, unshaken, like in that sense, and like a lot more fulfilled. I feel like you're going to be a lot more fulfilled and a lot more in tune with your own identity and like who you are, who you're meant to be, what you're meant to entertain or explore or embrace in life. Okay, Scorpio, I like that. So Sagittarius, Sag, this is going to be for you. Timeless message for Sagittarius spirit. Thank you for channeling these messages today. What does Sagittarius need to hear? What would you like Sagittarius to hear? Okay. Seven of Swords, Two of Swords, the Moon reversed. You guys ignoring your intuition about something? You guys are definitely ignoring your intuition about something. This card's very cool. I love like how these cards are drawn. Like some of the people are shadow people, and I feel like those are the people you cannot trust. Or it makes me think like this is like your shadow self, an aspect of your shadow self that needs working through. Two of Swords as well. Between like, you know, conflicted between your intuition and your logic. Which one should you do? Which path should you pursue? The Seven of Swords though, one, you're ignoring someone or something. It could be like an entity trying to take advantage of you. This is interesting. Okay, so some of you guys may need to realize like you need to be smarter than this person who's trying to outwit you. Say it's like a company or something, because that's what I see it as. Or someone you're trying to work with. Like it could be a business partner, someone who is trying to manipulate you into getting their way. Or say they're trying to underpay you or trying to make you accept an offer that is below your worth or something, and they're over here like, hopefully they don't like catch on that I'm definitely playing them, or hopefully they don't catch on that I, you know, don't have the best intentions, or whatever it may be. Someone is definitely trying to benefit from being in your presence, working with you, knowing you, something like that. The foxes also make me think that someone thinks that they're sly, but what I will also say is like, you're not dumb. Like, I feel like you are aware of this, but it's almost like your empathy. This is what the Two of Swords doesn't always make me think of empathy. But in this case, it's making me think of empathy, conflicted between doing the thing you know you should do because it's logical versus like empathizing with someone and maybe like understanding that their actions are out of survival or they're not like malicious. That's kind of what I'm seeing as well. But this also makes me feel, who was I just telling that? Like, you can't save people or make yourself smaller in order to like, that's what I'm seeing for you. It's like, you cannot save people. You can't keep putting yourself in the position to be taken advantage of. Sometimes it's not even taken advantage of in the sense that, oh, this person is actively trying to take advantage of me and harm me. Sometimes it's that they're simply like, you're being gracious, you're being generous, and they're taking advantage of that kindness. So sometimes I feel like you're called to pull back. But for you guys, I feel like you're torn. Like this Two of Swords energy also reflects being torn between like doing your own thing and kind of like being selfish and self-focused versus wanting to give back to people and like nurturing and being there for others and being patient with others, etc. I think some of you guys are like, I don't know if it's lonely, like definitely feels like feeling alone. So in the same way, was I telling Leo this, where I was like, you don't really need anybody, but like it's like that desire to be a part of something. So some of you guys could feel that way, Sagittarius, where you're conflicted and you know your purpose requires you to have some level of like isolation or independence, but you also often find yourself wanting to be a part of like a group or, you know, I don't even want to say the collective. Yes, to some degree, but this feels like a personal relationship, especially with the Seven of Swords. This feels like a dynamic. This is so interesting. But what I will say is this moon, you guys are definitely repressing this. You could be repressing your depression. Like you could be depressed and you're not actually addressing it, or you could just be like, oh, it's fine though, like, oh, you know, I have to do this, this is what's right. Like, I don't know why I'm feeling that way, especially because the Seven of Swords makes me feel like you guys are doing the virtuous thing while someone else is trying to take advantage of you or manipulate you, and you're like over here empathizing with them and you're like, yeah, I know, but you know, I'm just trying to help and I'm just trying to be there for them. But they are like not trying to be there for you. You know what I mean? Like, even if this comes from a place of scarcity mindset or trauma or whatever else this person is dealing with, they're still draining you and taking advantage of you, and you don't deserve that. And so in order to be better off, I do feel like you need to like move on, for real. Your spirit is at unrest, and like these foxes and these dogs, these pack animals, that's what it is. You have like a pack mentality maybe, but the people that you are dealing with, like, although they might be a part of the pack, they have like what's that called, singular mentality. Like they're only looking out for themselves to a degree. Can we get one more card to clarify, like, what should you do here? Because we only had 3 cards fall out. This is for Sag. Queen of Wands. Yeah, and it's reversed. You are giving people all of your energy. You're being siphoned, basically. Like, that's what I'm seeing here. Your energy is being siphoned so that other people can benefit and they can get what they need and they can feel more fulfilled, supported, so they could get ahead. Like, this could say it's like a work opportunity. You're helping people, you're teaching people, or you're putting people on. But like when you turn around, like when are people putting you on? When are people supporting you or helping you? It could even be like a manipulate, like you could even be being manipulated into, because the swords, the Seven of Swords and the Two of Swords makes me think of mind games. Like you could be an emotional manipulation with the moon reversed. Especially because you might not be fully, with the Queen of Wands reversed, you might not be fully aware of your own needs as well, or you may not have fully embraced them. And so these people could also recognize, like, whether it's like you have a low self-esteem or you're still working on like learning to advocate for yourself and things like that. Like, these people might know that and then take advantage of that or exploit that within you. I don't like that, bro. I don't like that at all. And so you are needing to realize, like, you got to stop draining yourself and giving all of your power and energy away to other people. And that, like, the question or the decision that you're meant to make is kind of a no-brainer if you put it in those terms. If you focus on, like, what environment is going to be healthier for me, or what relationship is going to help me become my best self, or whatever, what decision is going to benefit me the most in terms of my own wellness and my own development, it's kind of a no-brainer. When you start to think, but so-and-so needs me, and I just want to be, and I don't want to be selfish, and I just gotta, compromise, and that's when you start to complicate it. But when you put yourself first, which you're really being required to do right now, especially in order to help other people, like in the ways that you want, because I do feel like this is reflecting that you're an empathetic person. You aren't going to be able to help people until you are empowered yourself, at least not in the capacity that you would like. So you can't keep allowing yourself to be taken advantage of, manipulated, drained, etc. By other people, especially when you need support yourself. Like, I was going to say, like, guidance, but like, this really feels like you need people who are either on the same level as you, who, I think I was saying this to Leo as well, is like, you need people who aren't in a scarcity mindset or in a place of lack where they are going to naturally take an advantage of you, not because they hate you or they dislike you or they're trying to be malicious, but because that's in their nature, you know what I mean? And so, because they don't know any better, because they're in survival mode. So you got to go and elevate yourself and be where other people can be there for you, and where things are equal and balanced, and where you aren't constantly having to betray yourself or neglect yourself in order for other people to be better off, So is there anything else? This Queen of Wands is a baddie. But anyways, Sagittarius, be less selfless, be less selfless. It's such a, like, great quality to have. And yes, I understand, like, you want to be there for people and help people, especially people who you feel maybe struggle with things that you don't struggle with, or that you once struggled with, and you want to help them. But you also, there comes a point where people are not actually helping themselves, and they're trying to take the easy way out, or they're trying to take advantage of other people in order to get what they need, and those people can't be helped. And so you have to realize that. You have to let people, like, learn their own lessons, receive their own karma. You can't save everyone, All right, Sagittarius. All right, this is going to be a message for Capricorns. What do Capricorns need to hear at this time? Oh. The Star, it tried to come out reversed and then it almost fell, and when I caught it, it was upright. So I'm going to leave it upright. This card, I don't know why the short hair. For me, hair is very symbolic. And so the short hair in this card does make me think of someone who's just coming into awareness about something. It could be about their own gifts, with the Star card often representing, like, fate, faith, potential, dreams and hopes and wishes, The Tower reversed. The Star card. You're getting a lot of major arcana, Capricorn. One other card. The Hermit. Can we get one other card? So you guys are definitely coming into awareness about your true power. A lot of people getting this Hangman reverse, and I feel like it is because it's like we're at those last stages of, like, Saturn in Pisces. Saturn is about to enter Aries. Neptune already did. And this Hangman reverse really, really feels like people ignoring their intuition, like ignoring what they know to be true or what they know they need to embrace or be honest with themselves about, you know? It's like people still having a little bit of a hard time doing that because they know that it's gonna like wake up a lot of things, you know? It's going to force them to have to address a lot of things. It's going to force them to have to move differently if they're honest with themselves. But if they are in denial, then they can keep living how they're living. And that's what I've been seeing with the Hangman reverse. So I think like it's very, very important for you guys to not be in denial because you're trying to put off the scary stuff or the hard stuff or the things you're afraid of. That's what I see here with the Tower reversed. It's like you guys are coming into this awareness about what you need to do and what you're capable of doing, and even just how gifted or how protected you are, but you're still having a hard time taking that leap and also putting yourself out there as well, establishing like, okay, this is my truth, this is what I'm gonna own, this is who I'm gonna be. And honestly, I do feel like it's because many of you guys are afraid of either being alone or of isolating yourself. I also feel like a lot of you have already had to rely so heavily on yourself for so long. That's another thing that I'm channeling for a lot of people, is like wanting to be a part of something, wanting to have the sense of community, but a lot of people not really feeling supported or understood within their current kind of idea of community, and so they need to remove themselves or be willing to explore elsewhere. But it's like that fear of being alone, and maybe it is because of the current state of the world and the economy, and you know, people feel like if they isolate themselves or if they reject an opportunity or a person, then when it turns around and they need that person or they need someone, that no one's going to be there. That's really what this feels like. It feels like a matter of, because like there's only single people here, so I'm sensing codependency, but it also feels like this is about your relationship with yourself more than it is about your relationship with anyone else. And so this is about trusting yourself. It's about having faith in yourself and betting on yourself that you can do it if you go off and do something on your own. You have the Star. You're also being guided. Like, it makes me think of like the North Star. Like, you have to trust your intuition, because if you're called to do something, to go somewhere, to try something, launch something, explore something, it's because you are being guided. This same way that there's water like being poured out into the water and then onto the earth, it's like you're being guided to take what you're intuitively being told and bring that into fruition, and bring that into the real world and plant those seeds. And so that is what I'm seeing for you guys. You can't keep like holding back or being afraid of being rejected or being alone, or like, what if I can't do it, or what if I can't, you know, lead myself, guide myself, take care of myself. But I feel like that's something you guys have already been doing, you know? And it's just like this scarcity that is holding you back a little bit. And this Hermit, for you guys, I'm seeing this Hermit as almost like alone doesn't have to mean lonely. You know what I mean? Like, I think that's another central theme that I'm hearing for a lot of people, is that like when you embrace being alone, you're going to get to know yourself in a whole new way, and it's going to elevate your relationships, and it's going to heal so many things about you. But right now, I think you guys are clinging on to this like old sense of security with this Tower reversed. You're trying to avoid the Tower moment. You're trying to keep things together. It could be a family dynamic for some of you. It could be your house. Like, it could be like a situation with roommates, but it definitely feels like something that you've been building like toward, or something you've been building for years, this foundation, this sense of stability. But with this lightning and thunder and the flames around it, this is a false sense of stability. This foundation is not actually as stable as you've allowed yourself to believe. And I feel like there is a lot of fear in what would happen if, you know, you went without this. But I think you're also realizing like, maybe I should just let it kind of burn down. I won't say it like that, but it does feel like you're kind of starting to come to realize, like, maybe I just need to let go, you know? Maybe I do just need to kind of like step away from this and see how I feel and how I function when I'm not trying to keep everything together, or when I'm not trying to cling to this old version of peace, you know? Like, that's what it feels like. It's like what used to work for you no longer works for you, and you keep having these inklings and these feelings as well. I feel like there is some like emotional turmoil here as well, or you're just reflecting a lot. It could be in those moments when you're alone, you can't help but to start thinking about these things again. And so I really feel like you are, like, I'm feeling a question here, like you at a crossroads, especially because the Tower is in the middle of these two cards. And so this definitely feels like someone at a crossroads. Like, what do I plan to do? How do I want to respond to this? But for some reason, it feels like you guys are like this. I don't want to say this is the outcome card, because this is just a general message, but the most progressed card still shows you guys kind of ignoring your intuition and not embracing what your intuition is telling you to do. And so I do feel like you're going to potentially remain stuck until you're ready to face your fears, until you see your solitude as a strength. Because I feel like some of you could be like even trying to distract yourself a lot. There could be this need to go on this solo journey, or to sit with your feelings, sit alone, and let yourself kind of like purge everything you're feeling, so that you can, whether it's start over or start fresh or heal these things. But I feel like some of you guys are avoiding doing so, you know? Okay, for some reason I am kind of called to do like a little extra card just to see what might come out, if there is any like advice, because it feels like you guys are kind of stuck, Capricorn. And that's what I've been, that's crazy. Definitely time to move away. Definitely time to walk away from something. 8 of Cups. This is not working anymore. This card is this like quintessential this isn't working anymore card. This path is leading you to more, and it's like you're lingering, holding back because you don't want to like step into this new reality. But you can see this new reality is going to ascend you, you know? It's about ascension. This also, is this Mars? For some reason this makes me think of Mars. It could be Neptune. I don't even know. But Neptune makes me think of breaking free of illusions, no longer lying to yourself. Mars makes me think of the need to act, the need to move forward, the need to no longer be stagnant or like stay in an environment that is causing like, you know, things to not progress for you. Even this boat in the corner makes me think of like the 6 of Swords, the traditional 6 of Swords, which is the woman in the boat with her child going across the water. It literally makes me think that this water, you know, that there's more on the other side, but that you have to navigate these emotions, and you have to break free of illusions or the things you've been in denial of, and actually address them, face the fears, go toward them in order to have this breakthrough. But this card is absolutely about walking away from something, ending a cycle, feeling dissatisfied, like it's that card of like wanting to roam. And I did say I was sensing this like fork in the road, you know, kind of energy, where this Hermit, it does feel restless. There's like, look at the cards like mirroring each other with the moon there. Definitely restless, definitely feeling emotionally dissatisfied, definitely like not feeling as happy as you could be with your life, with yourself, with what you have accomplished so far. That's also what I'm sensing, what you've built for yourself so far. And so this card is telling you like you still have time, you still can explore, you know, you don't have to stay stuck in that place. But again, I was saying earlier in another one of the channeled messages that these shadow people versus like the actual people make me think of this being like an aspect of your shadow self that you need to explore. So what are you avoiding admitting to yourself? What are you avoiding embracing about yourself? You know, when it comes to your needs, when it comes to the things that you're drawn to, when it comes to like even your fears, like what's holding you back, and what, when you embrace your truth, where is that going to lead you? So, all right, Aquarius. Aquarius, this is going to be for you. Spirit, thank you again for channeling these messages for us today. Can we get a few cards for Aquarius? What they need to hear when they hear this. Oh. Four of Swords. That was ridiculous. So many cards just fell on the ground. 1 second, please. Okay. All right. Aquarius, you got Four of Swords as your first card. Let's see what else comes out for you. Okay. Six of Swords, literally. And one thing I will say is when I think of Six of Swords, everyone is getting Six of Swords, by the way. That's why I said this. So if you skipped right to your sign and you didn't see anybody else's videos, everyone is getting Six of Swords. Definitely feels like a mentality shift, like an awakening of some kind. But one thing I always say about the Six of Swords is it feels like a transition. It feels like you moving from one being of consciousness to another, you know? And so, or what, one reality shift to another. And so this feels super important for the collective right now. And I think it's because we're coming to realize so many things about the world we live in, about the people around us. Everyone is like more woke than they've ever been, if that makes sense. And it's because of the state of the world. But I think that, you know, Pluto and Aquarius and a lot of other stuff going on. We had Mars and then Jupiter in Gemini, and it was this progressive energy of these planets going through Gemini, and then now we're gonna have Uranus in Gemini coming up. So when it comes to these swords cards, that's why I said like the Aquarius energy and then Gemini, like I think that like people's level of awareness is heightening, but it also is coming with a lot of like ego deaths and a lot of like having to embrace their truths, and this can feel very heavy for some people, or it can like shake up people's reality and make them kind of feel overwhelmed. And so with this Four of Swords, it's reversed. So it feels like there's something, again, that you are not embracing. The Four of Swords traditionally makes me think of surrender, of rest, of reflection, of being like a pause. And so reversed, it makes me think of like there could be delays in your life. There could be something that you're meant to, like something you're being warned of, something that you're not willing to see though, you know, especially with these birds circling over the person's head. It makes me think of like a warning of some kind that you are not privy to. Whereas this upright, it does look like this person is in tune with nature and surrendering to the elements and the things around them, and they're tapped in. Reversed, it would represent that they are not. And so or just restless energy, you know what I mean, not being in tune with the cycles of nature, and therefore having to kind of like things happening to you. That's what I have kept saying. This Six of Swords card, it kind of shows how the Six of Swords often represents circumstance. Like those two people in the cards, the mother and their son, they always make me think of a refugee. And it's not like at times refugees can perfectly plan their travels and they're comfortably moving to this new place. It's like out of necessity. It's an emergency. It's like at the, you know, just when they thought that they didn't have any other options. And so that's what this feels like, you almost being forced out of an environment because of the circumstances, because you were not taking heed to the warnings. So this could also be a warning in general, Aquarius, like needing to be careful. Like with this Devil card, this is the next card that came out for you, and just as I was about to speak, I channeled like this could have something to do with something that was said to you. It could have been advice that was given because of the Swords cards, and me saying like being in tune with nature. I don't know why it feels like it has to do with your health. It could be like your physical or mental health, because the devil is Capricorn energy. It also makes me think of your vices or things that you're doing at a detriment to yourself. Things you're consuming. It could be substances, it could be food, it could be, you know, media or things like that as well. A certain lifestyle. And this Four of Swords, especially the upright version, makes me think of like, you know, monk energy, like solitude and meditation and deprivation and removing anything that is, you know, going to interfere with your own like healing or your own development of your consciousness. Interesting. What else for Aquarius? What else do they need to know at this time? The Fool. Definitely ignoring something. Like how the dog is barking and like trying to warn this person of this cliff they're about to walk off of, because the Fool can be seen as like naivety or being a little bit oblivious. Yes, it's free-spiritedness. Yes, it's taking that leap and being courageous, but it can also be seen as being naive. And that's kind of what I'm seeing here for you for some reason. It's like you not thinking of the consequences of something and doing something anyway, or continuing forward, like repeating patterns. What I'm also hearing is it feels like the Fool, in a way, it makes me think of audacity or even being a little bit pompous. Like you aren't taking other people's advice, or like I said, taking heed to other people's advice. I said that earlier, like that other people could be saying certain things to you that you're ignoring. There could be signs in nature or even your body, you know, trying to communicate with you and you're ignoring it. That's what this feels like. And it does feel like it's about an environment or a lifestyle or something like that that needs to drastically change, or needs to change as soon as possible, or you are like, you could hurt yourself, you know, you could end up harming yourself physically, mentally, or otherwise, like financially even, because you have the Four of Discs here that fell out with the Fool. And so it does really feel like this could be like a poor investment into something. It could be like you being very selfish or self-focused, like with this Four of Swords. It does make me think of like, rather than surrendering to something or saying, you know what, I've had enough, like, you know, like, let me pause or let me moderate or let me this, like, it's like you keep indulging or you keep spending or you keep, and you're not learning the lesson. And you're doing this because it either makes you look good or feel good, but it's like a temporary feeling. It's almost like a distraction, or it's like a way of escape for you. That's what this Four of Swords makes me think of, like you using things to escape and you getting the advice that like, hey, this isn't good, or hey, this isn't healthy, or hey, you should really stop doing this. You know, it's contributing to these certain dynamics or whatever, and you're not listening. And it does very much feel like nobody can tell me about myself. No one's going to tell me about myself. Like, no one's going to tell me what I do is wrong. Like, this is my life. These are my choices. That's kind of what it feels like, Aquarius. So just be careful that you're not being so stubborn that you aren't willing to take advice, or you aren't willing to be redirected, you know? Yeah. The Four of Coins is just very stubborn energy. Very the typical card is like, this is mine, you know, and like no one can take this from me, and no one can tell me what I should do with what is mine, you know what I mean? And so just keep that in mind. It is this very much this defensiveness, and it does seem like it's from a place of self-preservation and like ego, like it could be healthy ego, like you not wanting to try to be manipulated, but this isn't that. And that could be something you need to heal as well. Like maybe in the past you were given bad advice from people who were trying to manipulate you or get their way with you or whatever, but it now feels like you have taken on this kind of like toxic mentality of like, I'm not going to take any advice from anyone else. And it has left you alone at times. It's left you misguided at times. And it's like gotten you caught up, you know? It's definitely led to a few things that you could have avoided otherwise. Like lessons that you could have avoided otherwise if you were willing to be open to other people's feedback. And that's what it also feels like, feedback. Like, say when it comes to like your performance or something like that, it's like, hey, you should really try doing this, and you don't take other people's advice. And you could think that people aren't looking out for you, or people are projecting, or people are this with these, the Four of Swords, the Six of Swords, but, and the Devil especially, you know? But it feels like, 'cause this is reversed. So it really feels like needing to like humble yourself and realize you don't know everything. The Fool is like the first major arcana. So yes, you might be like brave. Yes, you might be courageous. Yes, you may have even had to guide yourself a lot in life, or maybe you've had to do a lot on your own or something like that. So you aren't really trying to hear other people tell you what to do. But just because you've gotten this far doesn't mean you know everything, or that, you know, you will get to where you want to be without the proper guidance. So be open to instruction. It even feels like, I don't know why this makes me think of someone who's like trying to build something or put together this, you know, I don't know, like it made me think of like a stage build at first, or like a, what do they call those? A stage hand, where someone's like putting together like the aspects of a play or whatever. And so it does make me think of someone who's trying to like create the scene for themselves, like establish like the life that they've always wanted and live in their truth and like honor themselves. But like that doesn't mean you can't incorporate other people into that. You know what I mean? It feels like your sense of self isn't actually that secure if you feel threatened by anybody's input or anybody's like feedback. I saw something recently on social media that said that. It was like, you know, to be like, I can't think of the exact quote, but it was like, to be affected by praise and critique is like to basically be controlled, you know? And so I feel like that's the case here, is like you need to be less defensive in terms of people's feedback, so that you can be more objective to it, so that you can take, like, you can know the difference between what's good and bad feedback, and take it as it resonates with you. But for me, it feels like if you have certain people in your life and you feel inclined to be defensive toward them, then why are they in your life? You know, like if you feel like you can't trust these people or whatever, then what role do they play in your life? Because yes, it might be like a shady boss or a coworker who's passive aggressive or something, but this feels more like people you should be listening to. So it doesn't feel like you can't trust these people. It more so feels like you have trust issues from other aspects of your life that you need to work through, so you could have better relationships and so that you can like build with other people as well. Like you're not meant to do everything alone. You are actually meant to break any like toxic cycles you have in your relationships and otherwise, because that's what it looks like it comes down to, because the Devil card is in the middle of all the cards, the Devil reversed. So it does feel like letting go of like the toxic relationship patterns, or say people in the past like took advantage of you or lied to you or manipulated you, or you had like jealous friends or whatever else it might be. It feels like you either need to continue to actively work to get rid of those people and kind of purify your environment, but also get out of that mentality of always being on the defense because you've dealt with people like that in the past. Realizing not everyone is like that. Realizing that there are whole strangers who might have your best interest at heart, who might, you know, look out for you when you don't even realize it. That there are people in other rooms who are speaking highly of you and things like that. But it feels like there's a lot of self-sabotage and like not trusting people, not trusting other people's advice, thinking everyone's out to get you or manipulate you, etc. So yeah. And what's crazy is like being an Aquarius, you guys are absolutely meant to work with people and meant to kind of be a part of something bigger than yourself. So you definitely have to learn to trust, or else it feels like your sense of purpose in the world is always going to kind of be limited. So keep that in mind. All right, Pisces, last but not least. Oh, card's already coming out. 5 of discs, okay? Okay. Wands. You have the Prince of Wands and the Queen of Wands. You have the 10 of Swords and the 5 of discs. This is very interesting energy. It immediately makes me think of like, why I'm getting this for everyone. The need to invest in the right people or the right things. You keep getting betrayed or you keep being let down, and it's because you are giving so much to the wrong people. I said this to also Leo placements and Sag placements. So if you have like Pisces and Sag, or Leo and Sag and Pisces, like if you have any of those other placements, 1, watch those readings, but 2, like you can't be so generous that you are taken advantage of or that you keep being let down, you know? I feel like I'm hearing Jupiter. I don't know if Spirit is trying to say that that's like the wisdom of Jupiter or something that Jupiterians need to learn, because I mentioned Sagittarius. You guys both are ruled by Jupiter. But yeah, it's like you are so giving and so empathetic to the point of like betraying yourself. And like this 10 of Swords also makes me think of, this isn't one person betraying you or people just being so careless with you. This is you being careless with yourself. And that is not to criticize you, Pisces. It's just to show you that like this is about awareness, you know? This is about you needing to remember, you know? This person also looks like they're made of stone. And it does kind of look like Medusa again. I just realized there are crazy. This is about being scapegoated. So again, this is Medusa. I was like, why is she stone? Like, I just realized that. This is Medusa. She has the snakes in her hair, and she's dead, and she's turned to stone. And it makes me think of, you know, being scapegoated, being taken advantage of or manipulated, or being outcasted after people have used you, or even being demonized. It makes me also think like Medusa is very similar to Lilith energy in that way to me, where it's like you've been casted aside and you've been, you know, made to be ashamed of who you are, but really you were just different. I said this to someone else earlier, and I'm trying to think of either of the signs I listed, but there's a card in this deck, and it's this woman, and she's bald, and she looks like Elphaba, or she looks like Cynthia Erivo. Not like Elphaba, she looks more like Cynthia Erivo. And I was just channeling Elphaba's character, and that also makes me think of like Lilith energy to a degree. Not quite, but that sense of being like shamed for being different and for like caring about things that other people don't care about. And it also feel like the concept of these people like being historically like black or brown women, you know what I mean? And so it really makes me think of you actually being targeted, you know, like you are a scapegoat to people, or what is the word that I'm looking for? I just feel like you guys are the type of people who would give your last to someone, and then when it comes down to it, that same consideration is not given back to you. And so you have to be very careful of who you're giving to, because this 5 of coins is like being left out in the cold, like being like needing someone, needing support. It could even being like being houseless, lacking resources, not having the money you need, not having opportunities. Like it feels like really being out like high and dry, you know? And it feels like even then you are still so considerate and generous and like caring of other people, and other people have never afforded you that same consideration. And so I feel like right now you're meant to take your power back from people. And this is kind of what I was saying to like Leo and Sag, is like when you keep giving to people who have less than you because you feel bad for them, or because they're less aware of you, they're less educated than you, they're this, like, yes, we should always give back. And I am not saying that, especially in this economy, especially with the state of the world right now, that we shouldn't be generous and that we shouldn't be, you know, selfless. But I think on a personal level, a lot of people, the collective, is learning right now, like, you cannot be selfless to a fault, to where you keep ignoring, like, people taking advantage of you, or letting, like, your empathy override your intellect, you know, or like what you know to be true from experience, from pattern recognition. And so you have the Queen of Wands here and the Prince of Wands. You have everything it takes to be, like, great, to be independent, to not need nobody, you know, for people to be coming to you begging for opportunities and things like that. It feels like you are meant to be a resource, and you are. And that is why I was saying that to another sign. I can't think of which one, but it's like you're the resource. And so you need to realize that, because right now it feels like you think you need people, or it even just comes from a sense of validation. It's like you seeking other people's validation and them taking from you in the long run. And then you still end up empty, and you still end up doubting yourself, and you still end up questioning if you're even worthy. And it's like, well, of course you were worthy, because these people definitely wanted to be around you, and they definitely thought whatever you had to offer was valuable. But then when they got what they needed from you, they made you feel like you were no longer worthy. It doesn't mean that you aren't worthy. It doesn't mean you were never worthy. It means that people have successfully manipulated you. People use your own self-doubt against you, and people see that, and they see that you're in a vulnerable state. And so you have to be careful of who you attract, you know, because people might see, oh, this person doesn't have this, so if I just make it seem like I can help them with this, and they're gonna give me this. It's like people are trying to get something from you because they can see what you lack. But you have all of these things inherently within you, and that's what you have to realize. Like with this Medusa imagery, people scapegoated her, people took advantage of her, they lied on her name, and that is what I feel is happening here. So just be careful of that. You are so, I'm hearing virtuous, like you are so pure and you are such a good person, but like being a good person isn't always a good thing when you allow it to make you naive. You know what I mean? You got to be a good person, but a smart person. You got to be a good person, but let people know that they can't, you know, manipulate you or take advantage of you. It's very important for you to do that, because you do still doubt yourself. With this Prince of Wands reversed, you, like, this, look at this person guiding this phoenix with the flame. It's like you know you have powerful instincts, you know you have a strong intuition. You're often you're probably the type of person who's like, I should have known better, or I should have listened to myself, or I thought that was gonna happen, or I knew that was gonna happen. Like, I feel like you're that kind of person, but you see things and then you kind of like brush them off and ignore them until they're like right in your face, and then you're like, shit, I should have listened. When you start listening to yourself, when you start acting on that blind intuition, like you don't have any proof, you don't have any answers, but you just trust yourself and you know what you know, that is when you are going to succeed. Because right now it's like you're trusting other people to guide you, or to provide for you, or to like point you in the right direction, or you're just trusting people at face value, and you got to stop doing that. You got to always check in with yourself before you just start trusting people because they're nice to you, or because they're this, or because they offer you something. Like, everything, like every offer isn't going to be a good thing, and a lot of people only offer something when they know that they're going to benefit in return. So just keep that in mind. I feel like the collective right now, like, we're all a little shook, and I think we're all learning in our own ways that like this world is a dark place, you know, like you cannot trust everyone. You have to trust yourself and spirit first and foremost, that you can be led astray, you know, when you don't listen to your intuition, and also that like you have a lot more power than you've given yourself credit for. And that when you start embracing that and not being distracted by everything that has been so successful at distracting us, then that's when you kind of step into your power, and that's when you are truly liberated. And so I hope that this message, you know, resonated for everybody, and that whatever you needed to get from it, that you were able to receive. I thank you if you did like watch the whole video, or you watched all your signs and you're still here at the end. I appreciate you. I definitely want to start doing a lot more of these readings. I know I've said that like so many times, and I feel like my life over the past couple years has not allowed me to do readings as consistently. I just don't have the time, but I am super determined to get back to it this year. It's something I'm truly passionate about. I know so many of you have reached out to me and told me that you guys miss it as well. And I always get something from it when I do these messages. I like walk away from the video and I'm like, oh my gosh, like this stood out to me, and I realized that, and that's why I was picking up on that a week ago. And you know, so very, very important. But yes, I appreciate you guys. I hope to talk to you soon. Please comment below if, you know, anything resonated with you, or what did resonate with you. Let me know what you think about the cards and the imagery. I'm definitely going to be working with this deck a lot more, because I feel like there's so much for me to gain from like all of those little tidbits, like those messages, like I was saying, and the symbolism. So again, shout out to Rachel True. If you end up watching this, definitely comment or let me know what you think. I love this deck. Like I really, really love it, and I'm glad I finally purchased it for myself. You did an amazing job. I also can't wait to deep dive into the guidebook more and read all those little anecdotes and stories that you put in here. So that's probably what I'm going to be spending the next couple days doing, and until then, we'll meet again. Bye guys.